welcome to Bots and Beyond, your weekly dose of all things automation, mixing up end user, vendor and consultant experience to create your go-to podcast for bot-related insights. I am your host, Wayne Butterfield, and we've got a great episode for you. I really love the title of this one, Distance is Futile, Remote Working for an Automation COE. I'm joined by Gintautas at Western Union, somebody I've known for a long time and have great respect for the work that he's doing over in Western Union. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Gintautas today. So hi, Gintautas.
Yeah, hi, Wayne. Glad to be here.
And thank you for joining us on Bots and Beyond. And now is standard practice for all of our guests. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
I'm a guy with very complicated name, and it's because I'm from Lithuania, where Western Union have large operations center. And my duties in the company is to lead our robotics and intelligent process automation organization and all process automation initiatives around global operations. And the most valuable currency we trade in life probably is time. And our unit is actually creating time, like Bitcoin miners, like time miners, and bringing this time back to business, to employees, that they could use it for more advanced activities than they used it before.
I love the idea of your mining for time, like a Bitcoin miner. That's a brilliant explanation. I love that. As is standard practice, I give everybody a robotic sounding name. I'm going to call you the Scalinator. Believe me, it's much more of a compliment than a scaly reptile. It is all about the work that you have done in scaling your COE, not just in one technology, but in multiple technologies. So it's absolutely a compliment.
Good to hear that, Wayne. I like that. Scaling probably is a positive word now. And yes, one of the largest focus this year was scaling our activity significantly by team size, by tools, by processes and business areas perspective. So definitely, yes, this year we were scalinators.
And thinking about the team, because I know that you have been, increasing the size of the team. And if we think about the makeup of the Western Union COE, it's already a central model, but co-located. So, you have centralized governance and ownership, but you're actually already located in both Costa Rica and in Lithuania. So you've kind of been used to working, I guess, in a remote fashion to some degree, but the actual developers, etc., have all been co-located across those two locations. How have you guys found COVID, working from home?
Yes, it's actually a little paradox that when we were scaling, we intentionally created our automation unit that it would be as much co-located as possible, that we could better fulfill this agile Scrum way of working, cross-functional cooperation among squads and so on. And Scrum theory in general strongly recommended project teams to be co-located, but now it's actually perfectly serving for opposite environment, organizing our work around Scrum, even helping us to better work from home. We have very clear disciplined routines with each other. We have team accountability, clear roles, trust on each other, focus on the outcomes, on the results. And even our team's engagement survey scores shows quite a significant increase after we started fully by 100% working from home. And so if to judge purely by deliveries, by velocity, by the quality and other success measures we are tracking, we clearly see that there is no any impact. In the beginning, we even faced slight increase in the velocity, probably because developers were saving some time on commuting on maybe regular morning routines, and but it's more about the thing at work, what we can clearly measure. Probably there are things what we cannot simply measure. Working from home style is like freelancing in a way. It's perfect fit for the tasks which are very clear what you can do alone, which have very clear deadlines and so on. You just need to sit comfortably, create productive environment around yourself, and without disturbances, just to do it. But at least I personally noticing some negative aspect for other type of work, like workshops, brainstorms, trainings, problem solving sessions. And I do not have a clear answer whether such meetings became more efficient or more narrow, one-sided, less creative. I heard somewhere that people, when they talk in not their native language, they are more rational, more efficient. But I think about the same, you could also tell that their language is less rich and less creative. And I see some similarities here. So we still need more time to understand how this will impact our department and our daily work.
It's interesting. My first thoughts when we went remote, whether it be in the contact center, in other areas where it was teams of people rather than individuals, that most KPIs, things like productivity, would go down. So it's really interesting that every conversation I've actually had across the series so far and outside has actually seen KPIs increase. So this idea of people working from home, therefore they're not in an office, therefore they haven't got a supervisor over their shoulder, is actually a negative. I'm starting to become a believer that, and I've heard this before, if you put the trust in the employees will pay it back. And I think we're actually seeing a lot of that with the changes that COVID forced upon us, rather than organizations, willingly wanting to make these changes. So it's great to see that even so far, at least in an automation COE, we're seeing that. How much of that, though, do you think is down to the fact that you were already working in an agile way, you already had Scrum teams, and obviously you have the scale, so you have a number of different squads. So it's not like you are, 3 people in your COE, you're a decent size, right? You've got tens of people in your center of excellence. So do you think some of the pre-work, I guess you didn't do it specifically for a global pandemic, but some of the pre-work you did actually was one of the key reasons why you are being successful? Or do you think, even for those people who are still, working waterfall, who have smaller COEs, that they could still see some of the benefits that you are?
Frankly, don't know how it affected other companies' COEs, but for us, definitely, I can confirm that the way we constructed organization around Agile Scrum is letting us to soften, to mitigate the potential issues for effective working from home. Another aspect maybe worth mentioning, we had ability to work from home 1-2 days a week, even before pandemics. We had such policy in the company, and people used it from time to time. So by my observation in this hybrid environment, that part of the team is in office and another part is at home, working from home, more complicating things versus when everyone is in office and or when everyone is working from home.
I guess some of the things you've mentioned that are maybe not as easy, having worked with you, I can and worked in similar areas, I can absolutely see where things like workshops and things that just always seem to work better when you're together are certainly more challenging. Talk to us a little bit about how are you trying to overcome some of the challenges that I guess working in a remote fashion brings. Have you changed any working practices? Have you changed the way that you approach things like process discovery and process design as a result of having to work in these remote ways?
So one thing is clear: we are becoming real Zoom professionals. We're utilizing more and more features of this tool, which really helps. From the way of working in general, there is no significant difference. When you work in huge global company, working across different office locations, we already used to work remotely. We had adopted way of working for it, and a large part of our engagement with stakeholders already been in remote way. But yes, we are now testing different approach on process assessment. Let's say we're doing it more data driven by utilizing process mining tools. But also what we do differently, we implemented some team engagement activities that we would not lose the track whom we are working for, why we are working for, and with who we are working. So we are doing such all hands robotics morning meetings every weekday. Have a different topic where we share news updates, play in virtual games and other stuff. We started it almost from day one when we came into this working from home regime. I personally think it is very, very useful. Also, a very helpful tool for us is Slack. We use it for team communication flow through the day. We even saying, good morning, goodbye to everyone in order to frame the day, or sharing documents, links, articles, and of course, doing some fun stuff, sharing some fun stuff there as well. It keeps us even virtually together.
Excellent. We had something similar. I think it was chat by the water cooler, more email based, but again, trying to kind of bring some of those conversations that you would have over the desk to life, even in a remote world. So definitely have seen, people trying different things in different ways to get the usual office conversation completed. So that's all interesting. One of the things that you will have already been dealing with is the federated model, so the co-location between, I guess, Lithuania and Costa Rica. I'd be really interested to see kind of how, what's your advice in dealing with, such remote working. You've got big time zone differences. You've got any hints and tips for how to get a federated model like this, or a dual located COE? Any best practice you can give to the audience around making this work?
We do not treat our remote team in Costa Rica as federated model. We treat it as one of our full squads working on a just different time zone. There were even ideas in the team to implement continuous development, and by it I mean follow the sun development even on the same project, on the same process, maybe someday. And even time zones are very different, but we have overlaps. Costa Rica people are very early birds. Naturally, from outside, we are working a little longer than usual in our time zone. So in this way, we have several hours overlaps, which is completely enough to work efficiently. And yes, naturally, the largest part of my meetings is concentrated on the second part of the day. And, people are adaptive organisms, not like bots. We can change our working style, our behavior by changing environment. So it helps for us.
Brilliant. And talking about bots and different environments, I know one of the challenges that you are undertaking at the moment is around attended automation and having to work with agents predominantly from home versus the relatively stable network connections that you would find in the office. Now, I know this is certainly something that is not and hasn't necessarily been plain sailing so far. So, kind of what's your view around this and thinking about the actual team itself working really well, potentially seeing increased productivity, etc. From a technology perspective, though, are you starting to see kind of a few bumps in the road, and I guess is working from home assisting or hindering your automation endeavors?
Sure. I believe technological part with such an instant shift from office to remote work was an issue for most of the companies, but at the same time, not so significant impact to employees' performance, and we could clearly see it from the results. And as I already mentioned, probably it because people cannot adapt quickly. They easily overcome some issues, some different way of working. And here I mean that more people adapted to technology and not technology to people. In regards of attended automation, then bot is working on the same workstation as employee and starting to work out of office network, it becoming an issue. Many questions still to answer how we should do it differently, but also I believe we are very close to understanding it.
Excellent. I think it's a really interesting one, isn't it? The whole attended versus unattended, and potentially some of the challenges that will come from the working from home movement versus the relative stability, as you say, of the network within the office. So I think that's really interesting, and as you say, very easy for people to adapt. Not so easy for technology to adapt, at least not on its own. But I mean, again, all really interesting and things that we're having to adapt to on a regular basis just because of the circumstances and how these curveballs have been thrown at us. So I think for me, great time to close out this week's episode. I think it's been fantastic to discuss this. If we think about remote working and how that might positively or adversely affect a COE, certainly a large COE like your own, feels like in the main most things are absolutely very positive. Clearly there's some adoption needed on the technology front. We're seeing challenges with attended and what that is the impact that's having on working from home and advisors working from home. But it sounds like in the main, Gintautas, you set yourselves up well. You had a head start because of the way that you work. You were already working in an environment that crossed two continents and significant differences in time zones, and so this would have, I guess, felt a lot more natural to you than maybe it would to others. If you've had any final thoughts?
The best skill nowadays employees could have is to adapt to changing environment. In a way, it's even the main driver for evolution. Yes, and I could frankly say I'm not a fan of working from home because I like to separate work and family environment. But I'm totally efficient and used to work in remote environment, which maybe is a different thing, yeah. So for me and for the team, office as a location is not so important, so impactful for our efficiency. And I would say we are even good at it. So whatever this new world will bring to us, we will adapt. Now the main question for us is how we could make our bots more adaptable.
Thanks for listening to ISG Automation's Bots and Beyond podcast, your weekly dose of all things automation. See you next week for more news and views on RPA, intelligent automation, and AI.